The fresh one, I smell more of the aromatics already. I can tell you that off rip, that I smell more of the aromatics coming from the fresh one. Hey there, this is me, Lottie, and today what we're gonna do is follow up on something that I started over the summer. Actually in the fall, I had an herbalism class. You may have been a part of it. And we discussed how to make herb infused vinegars. And these are Anise Hyssop. So the experiment, not only was it about making an herb infused vinegar, but it was the difference between dried and fresh. What does it look like? It's a flower, but it sure looked like something alive was in there for a minute, but it's not. I'm gonna zoom in. Ooh. Looks kind of crazy, doesn't it? All right. All right. And dried. So the first thing you can probably notice is the amount of herb that is in the jar. Well, the rule of thumb is dried herbs are usually about a 1:4 ratio, meaning 1 part herb to 4 parts solvent, and fresh herbs are usually 1:1 or maybe 1:2 depending on the herb, which means just as much herb as solvent. So this was my fresh, so that means I filled it all the way up loosely, and then I filled it all the way up with apple cider vinegar. This I had probably about 1/4 of the jar, perhaps 1/3 of the jar. It's a very forgiving process that I use here. And then I filled it up with the apple cider vinegar. Now, herb infused vinegars only take about a week or 2 to reach their maximum potency, but these have been sitting. The other thing about infused vinegars is it won't go bad. The vinegar is a preservative, so it shouldn't go bad. These should be fine. We're going to open them and test them out. We're going to taste test them. See if there's a difference between fresh and dried. And then we will create some labels. I just have regular masking tape and a Sharpie marker. This is generally what I like to use because the Sharpie marker on the masking tape is pretty waterproof. Like if you want to rinse your jar off or you need to clean it up a bit, the ink won't run, and unlike a paper label, it will not start to disintegrate in water. So let's see what we got here. So another thing I'll point out, as you can see, and I've said this many times, whenever we're working with vinegar, we want to put a layer of wax paper between the vinegar and the metal of the lid, because it will eventually start to corrode, eat away at the metal. So you always put a layer of wax paper between the two. And if this was going to store for a long time, sometimes you might want to go back and swap it out. I use this in my fire cider. Anytime we're working with vinegar, if you see the wax paper around something in my apothecary, that's going to let you know it's a vinegar solvent. Okay, we have them both open here, and just pretty much the same, you know, because this was dried. It looks like it was crumbled up a bit more. A lot of the flower blossoms I see up here on top, but as a rule, it looks pretty good. This is the fresh. You can see the leaves were a bit bigger. I can see a little more color left on some of these flowers. And in general, yeah, it looks about the same, but you can tell you know, these leaves are a lot bigger. I will say, as soon as I open these, it smells good. They smell great. Anise Hyssop. Now, Anise Hyssop is an aromatic herb in the mint family. And it has sort of a black licorice flavor to it. Minty, earthy, kind of, like I said, that anise flavor. So I'm not really smelling black licorice, but I'm definitely getting a pleasant aroma coming off of these. I can tell you right now, like I said, they both smell great. I want to know if there's like a discernible difference between the two. Is one going to be stronger than the other? Is there going to be a change in the acidity of the alcohol? Some herbs make the vinegar more smooth, I guess, you know, depending on their constituents. But we'll see. Let's see. Okay, so I got 2 separate spoons so I don't contaminate my brew here. And let me lift it up and smell it first, because actually I think I can smell the black licorice. Okay, the fresh one, I smell more of the aromatics already. I can tell you that off rip, that I smell more of the aromatics coming from the fresh one. That could be influenced by, it could be the ratio because it's less. It could be how old this was. I don't know how long it was dried for. So let's taste. And I'm just going to take a drop. This is vinegar, so we're not trying to do a whole shot. Some people do. I'm just taking a little bit here. Oops. Yeah, I might have to do a little. That's good. I'm just taking a little bit here. Let me see what it tastes like. Woo! Okay. That was really good. I can faintly taste, I can definitely taste the anise hyssop in it. It's a very pleasant taste. It has a really slight licoricey smell to it. It's like got a little mintiness to it. This would make a fabulous ingredient to add into a salad dressing. You could even just mix it with honey and take it as a cough or cold medicine. Let's taste the fresh one. And press that down a bit. You know, you could mix them together if you decided to. The test was just because I happened to have fresh and I had dried. And see, I gotta see where I ordered this dried from. This fresh was in my backyard. Let's taste this one. That's kind of a lot. Okay, hold up. Let me do that one more time. I want to do it one more time because oh, that's just gonna have to be. And you see, I'm taking a slightly bigger amount because that is smooth. That is smooth. This one is much more mellow. It's not as acidic. It's not as rough. You can taste the aromatic flavors, but something about the fresh, whatever the fresh herb added to it, cut that bite of the vinegar a bit. This tastes great, but it definitely still has that bite to it. They are both delicious. Now, since I pulled off these old wax papers and they were a little bit worn out, they tore a little bit, I'm going to put fresh over it. I don't feel like straining these right now. So like I said, you're just going to cover it with the wax paper. Put the top back on it. And vinegar keeps indefinitely, so it's not like this is going to go bad. Let me dry the vinegar out of this top though from my spoon. Okay. Boop. And we're going to make our labels here. ACV is for apple cider vinegar. I think I made this in September 2024. I'm not as concerned because I know it won't go bad. And then I'll just mark that this was dried. I do need to figure out where did I get it from, because that can play a role in how strong it is as well. You know, different places, different growing conditions, you know. So like I said, this in general is pretty waterproof. Doesn't come off as easily or disintegrate as easily as a paper label. Okay, so now that we got those all labeled up, like I said, I just didn't feel like straining them right now. I'm going to put them in the apothecary until I'm ready to use them. But I really just think this would make a great salad dressing. I'm envisioning a recipe that includes citrus and maybe maple syrup or sugar or honey to go over something like a peach blueberry. Could be a peach blueberry chicken salad over spinach. I don't know. Something that has fruit in it. I just think this would be a great salad dressing for a fruit forward kind of salad. So there you go. I just wanted to share that with you. A little process video to share making our infused vinegars with dried herbs versus fresh. Possible ways to use them. Little techniques of how to ensure quality, and just a basic label making tip that has saved me numerous times, because always label it, label it, label it. You will forget what stuff is. Label it, label it, label it. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Please take really good care of yourself. All right, peace.